Hello and welcome back to 3 Martini Lunch Plays Kerbal Space Program. I am 3 Martini Lunch and I am playing Kerbal Space Program. Today I will be participating in the sponsored by Rockomax, the Mainsail Interplanetary Challenge posed by Red Hazard in the KSP forums. The challenge is to get land something on some other planet and bring it back to Kerbin using only Rockomax engines. I'm going to show you the lander that I plan on using. Whoops. Right here, it's got Rockomax engine. I used 2 of these medium-sized fuel tanks instead of the long one, so I could mount that a little lower, so I get the landing gear. Yeah, pretty basic design. Otherwise, other than having that big old engine, I've used the tweakables to limit the thrust to 24. That gives me almost a 2.0 thrust to weight ratio on Kerbin. I'll be going to Eeloo with this, so it's like 15 to 1 or something, but it's far below. I mean, it's far more controllable than leaving it full blast. And then I've also got the buddy that's going to take it out there. And I'm doing this rather Apollo-esque. I've got a lander that's going to be attached to the top. Whoop, no, I'm trying to do this with keys. Oh well. Use the mouse wheel. In fact, let's back up a little bit. I've got the lander mounted backwards on top of the capsule. There's going to be 3 Kerbins in there. They're going to get to Eeloo, 2 of them aboard, land, come back, reboard, and come on home. Now this, at first glance, looks like it's not gonna launch. But again, I use the tweakables to empty out all the fuel. The rules do specify we can refuel in orbit, so there's no fuel on this. It does have some monopropellant in the lander, just in case I need any kind of maneuvering. But it's pretty light. It comes in, there you go, 50 tons. I mean, it's quite manageable. You can see it's got a single Rockomax on there. I've arranged these fuel tanks in an asparagus-style staging, so these ones here will burn out. Then I'll drop them. This will burn out, drop. This will burn out, drop, and I'll leave it with the last one. So I think that's it. Even with that, this is a pretty tight launch. I wound up doing it, but there's just a few fumes are going to be left in these fuel tanks here when well, not these ones, but the center final lifter when it puts this thing into orbit. So anyways, let's see if I can get to Eeloo and land and return safely to Kerbin using nothing but the Rockomax Mainsail engines. And here we are in the launch pad, getting ready to go. Pretty routine launch. Like I said, it's it looks like it would never get off the ground, but those top engines are, or those top fuel tanks are empty, nothing above the lifter. And I cut it in out here as I drop off fuel tanks. You notice I had 7 of the big fuel tanks on the bottom, but only 5 engines. I had plenty of thrust to weight ratio with just that. Anyways, wound up getting it up into orbit, and you can see I'm down to just fumes. Excuse me, just fumes in that lifter vehicle. 10 meters per second of delta V remaining. I'm gonna go ahead and get the last stage of the lifter out there, and I'm going to go ahead and deorbit that. I don't know why I bother. I wound up littering space with all the fuel tanks, empty fuel tanks here. Anyways, I don't mind saying I abstracted the refueling. I certainly could have launched Big Red after Big Red up there and refueled this thing manually, but I went into the save file and just topped off the fuel tanks. And here I am. Oop, you can see some of those fuel tanks dropping off already. I think I'm going to lose another set before I leave Kerbin's sphere of influence. And you can see I set up an encounter with Eeloo. It's only 350 days away. Here I am coming into Eeloo's sphere of influence in about 5 seconds. There we go. And set up a maneuver node to make me in orbit. And come on, let's go. There we go. Here I am coming in. I think I'm going to drop off that last pair of fuel tanks. And looks like it worked out pretty well as far as fuel goes. Don't mind saying this is my second attempt. I only had 5 fuel tanks on the first attempt. I was able to get to Eeloo, but not back. Anyways, go ahead and transfer that transfer those crew. I'm pretty horrible at EVA. Transfer those crew into the lander. I'm not even sure who that was. Let's go with I didn't even see this guy. Come on! Oh no, that's the wrong way. Let's go get on up. Get in the lander. Get in there. Hurry up. There we go. Everybody's safe and sound. We'll go ahead and align ourselves up here. Separate the lander. Using RCS, go ahead and drop our periapsis deep inside the planet. And we'll go ahead and land, and I'll just quickly go frame by frame here and get us down. Here we are at 2,000 meters. Finally 40 meters, and boop, touchdown. Pretty smooth. I'm usually pretty bad at landing at light gravity bodies. I can usually get it done. I'm getting to work and reliably land on the moon now even. But I used to just suck at that. It was a 50-50 shot. Anyways, get one of those John Vin out here to drop the flag. Rockomax to Eeloo. And get back on there. Wait till our mothership comes into the area. Go ahead and launch. And rendezvous. And too bad this happened on the dark side. I kind of like docking. And I got pretty good at it too. Done a lot of docking. I don't know if you saw my Destination Duna video series, but I learned a lot about docking on that one. Anyways, get the crew transferred across. I don't show it here, but I also have a little bit of fuel left over. I transfer that in. Go ahead and we won't be needing that lander anymore, so get rid of it. And I use RCS to deorbit that thing. Again, I don't know why I littered space with those fuel tanks. Anyway, set up a new maneuver node for the return voyage. You can see I've got 2,300 meters per second at delta V, more than enough to get from Eeloo to Kerbin. And come on, let's start that burn. Any second now. Come on, there we go. And that's pretty funny. It was only like a 20-second burn. And I set up get an encounter, and I'm going to go ahead and use a maneuver node to fine-tune it, and eventually come on back to Kerbin's sphere of influence. There we go. And again, immediately set up a maneuver node to fine-tune my my periapsis. I think, bring it down to about 18 kilometers. That's a little deeper than I normally go, but I'm moving at a pretty. I thought I was moving at a good clip. 4 meters per second, 5 meters per second. And again, it happens on the dark side, so it's not very exciting. I think I'll let you watch the flames start happening there we go. And I don't show it here, but after the flames, I drop off that fuel tank, and I'm left with just the capsule. And I go ahead and deploy the chutes, and we're gonna land. There we go. So that's about it. I'll go ahead and post this into forums. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and good night, everybody. And you too, Mrs. Miller.